Hi, welcome back to The Scent Advocate. Tonight I'm having a moment. I was doing some testing today and I absolutely fell in love with the fragrance I tried. It is Blackwood and Bourbon by Elysian. I have heard this house pronounced Elysian, but I'm inclined to say Elysian, so that's what I'm going to stick with. Apologies if I'm mispronouncing it. Blackwood and Bourbon, which I've put on my hand, is a really smoky, boozy, powdery wood with, even though it's powdery, it's got a rich pipe tobacco in there. There's lavender that is really tempered by that smoke. It's really warm, cozy, very masculine leaning, but I love it. I smelled this and I just had to have it, but I have a rule. And the rule is if I have anything in my collection that comes close, certainly if it's identical or pretty darn close, I would never move forward with a full bottle of the new fragrance. But if it's close, I won't move forward with a full bottle because I think I wouldn't use the bottle I already have in my collection, right? It feels wasteful to me. Certainly you do whatever you want to do, but I know me and I know my habits. And for me, I would probably not use up the first bottle, and that would bother me. It would just kind of get to me. There is one exception. I do have two fragrances that are very, very similar, two different houses, but very similar. I won't say what they are, but the second bottle was a gift from a family member, which I'm not going to refuse. So I love them and I use them interchangeably. But if I did that, if I went down that path, I would probably have a lot of fragrances that wouldn't get any use. Anyway, I went through my collection and I came up with 5 fragrances that I think may come close. Now, this is not to say they're the same or that they're close to the same, but they may scratch the itch, right? So they may be in the same sort of ballpark or neighborhood as Blackwood, in which case I wouldn't move forward with the Blackwood. So I thought I'd take you all along for the ride to test these out and see if they come close to Blackwood and maybe get me a little bit closer to making a decision as to whether to go full bottle. The first fragrance I pulled from my collection that I thought might scratch the itch is Guerlain Oud Kohl. I think this is 75 mil. It may be 100 EDP. It could be an extrait, but it doesn't say on the bottle, and I forgot to look before I started the video, because this is, by the way, completely emotionally driven. So I didn't prepare too much. Yeah, this is a smoky oud, and the oud in this fragrance is it's stronger. It's not, what some might describe as that safe Western oud. It does go a little bit in the animalic direction. This leans masculine. I would say this is more cold weather than warm weather fragrance. It is a bold choice. I remember when I first sampled it in the Guerlain boutique in a hotel in Las Vegas last year. The wonderful essay that was helping me saw that I reached for it. I was attracted to the color and oud being in the name, and she said, oh, this is not an easy one, so just be prepared. It's bold. So I said, let me add it, and I fell in love instantly. I continued to look around for a little bit because I wanted to be sure, and by the time I was ready to leave, I absolutely was sure, and now I have this full bottle in my collection. Love it. It's amazing. It is not going to scratch the itch for Blackwood. Moving on, same trip to Las Vegas, actually. I came across Navitus in a department store. The Embrace. This is a parfum. It is 100 ml. This fragrance is a non-sweet, in my opinion. You may find it sweet. A non-sweet gourmand. The nuttiness, it's a toasted nut meets cocoa powder with a toasty wood in the background. In the opening, the nut comes off as a little bit clay-like, but it tempers down into the most beautiful kind of toasted hazelnut. It's lovely. And that cocoa just, it's a rich kind of, if you've ever had hot chocolate, like the real deal, it's kind of like that. And, the toasted hazelnuts, just warmth kind of all over you, amazing, hugging you, warming you on the inside. It's incredible stuff. And it is quite distinguishable from Blackwood. Next, let's look at Tom Ford, the classic Tabacco Vanille. This is a 30 ml Eau de Parfum. Love this. This is my second bottle of this fragrance. This is definitely unisex, by the way, so is the Embrace. If you've never smelled this fragrance, you really should. It's fantastic. It is a very rich vanilla, like straight out of the pod, almost floral. Not like gourmandy vanilla. This is a non-gourmand vanilla, in my opinion. And the tobacco is a wet, rich pipe tobacco, also a little bit floral. But it's very cozy, it's warm. It doesn't have the kind of floral that Blackwood has, that lavender. It's just not there. It's getting close to the same neighborhood, but no, not going to scratch the itch. Next, we have Oddity Eau de Parfum by Rag & Bone. This is such an amazing fragrance. I haven't seen much talk about this. It doesn't mean it isn't out there. I just haven't seen it, and I can't believe it because this is incredible stuff. I've had this in my collection for a while, and I use it sparingly because I'm not sure if this has been discontinued, and if it has, and I run out, it will be a sad, sad day for me. This is a deep, rich smoke, but an incense type smoke. It's not a resinous incense like a frankincense. This is an incense that comes from wood. I've heard of it with sandalwood, but this doesn't smell like sandalwood either. Maybe some other kind of wood that was reduced to an incense and it's being burned. A little churchy, but not so much. There are others that are much more church-like and resinous. This has a warmth. It's masculine leaning, but I don't care. I wear it. I love it. It's also got like a cashmerean kind of feel to it. Smells like a cozy sweater. If you've ever smelled BDK's Gris Charnel, it's got that similar kind of cashmere note. Very, very different. I wouldn't say they're alike in any other way, but really lovely stuff. But no, not scratching the itch. This is much darker, much more serious, much more bold than Blackwood, which is a little bit sweeter and lighter. Okay, so not going to scratch the itch. The last one I've got is Oud Zarian by Creed. Now, I am still testing this one, so it is in a sample container, which, why am I doing this? I already sprayed it on my arm earlier. Yeah. This one, So Oud Zarian is a little bit, I've heard the term screechy. It's got a sharpness to it. And so does Blackwood. But the sharpness comes from different things. Blackwood, it comes from the lavender, but it's tempered by a powdery accord. With Oud Zarian, there's a sharpness, a screechiness in there that I love, but it's not tempered. If you've ever had a really good quality olive oil and it's peppery and it kind of burns the back of your throat, that kind of sensation is what I get when I smell Oud Zarian, and I love it. It's bold, it's decisive, it's right there. This is no joke. And there's a green to it, almost like those, that kind of polyphenol feel you get from the really good olive oil. There's a green, a very almost bitter green that comes out in the Oud Zarian. But it's different enough now that I've got them both on skin and I can smell. They're just not the same. They're not in the same ballpark. Oud Zarian, because I actually have two decants of this stuff. I love it, and it's pretty pricey, so I don't want to pull the trigger on that unless I'm absolutely certain. But yeah. So out of these 5 fragrances that I have in front of me, none of them would scratch the itch. The closest, I would say, is the Oddity. Yeah, but it's not the same. The powdery sweetness in Blackwood is different. So I'm going to have to contemplate this a bit more. I love the Elysian fragrances, but they're a little bit on the pricier side for me. So I want to be really sure, just like with the Creed, those aren't purchases I make lightly. So, certainly if you have it in your collection and you are loving it, I'd love to hear from you. If you think there's a fragrance that might scratch the itch and I didn't mention it today, definitely let me know in the comments. I would love to get your feedback on what you think might be close to Blackwood and Bourbon. I actually did go to one of the more popular fragrance websites, and I didn't see any fragrances listed that were, reminds me of or smells like this or is similar to that. I didn't see any listed. So I don't know. I know there are other sites that I didn't visit, but the one I did visit didn't have anything. So I'll keep looking, but I would love to hear from any of you out there who think that you might know something similar to Blackwood and Bourbon that, by chance I might have in my collection. I'll check. If I do, that would be, something really important for me to know. Let me see. There may be a hint of cinnamon also in the Blackwood. Anyway, let me know your thoughts, please. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider doing so. I love to talk about niche and indie fragrances here on the channel. I do occasionally mention designer brands like Guerlain and Tom Ford, but for the most part, they are indie and niche brands and unique fragrances. I like to focus on bottles that not everyone is talking about at that moment. Sometimes I will talk about what's, more mainstream or the hot topic, but I try to do something different on the channel. So if you like the video, give me a like, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks. Bye.